When my ex-girlfriend demanded a breakup, I agreed instantly and blocked her on everything. 3 days later, I got a call from her best friend, screaming that she was about to jump off a building and that her suicide note was entirely about me. The internet was suddenly flooded with posts claiming I had pushed my girlfriend to her death. My company called me in for a meeting. Strangers glared at me on the street. Overnight, I had been canceled. In her script, this was the moment I was supposed to be on my knees, begging her to clear my name. Instead, I calmly posted a photo of her drinking boba tea at the mall, taken just moments ago, along with an audio recording of her shrill voice. "Mark Reynolds, let me tell you, you are nothing without me." But this wasn't the end. When her mother called me, weeping and begging me to visit her after emergency surgery for slit wrists, I realized that behind this farce lay a trap far more vicious and deadly. My phone was buzzing violently on the couch. I ignored it and handed a peeled orange segment to Sarah, who was sitting next to me. The movie was at its climax, the tense score filling the living room. "You really aren't going to get that?" Sarah asked softly, her eyes never leaving the screen. I shook my head. "It's just drama. She won't jump." The buzzing finally stopped, but my brain wouldn't quiet down. The sticky, painful memories began to surface. There was the time I worked late and forgot to text beforehand. Chloe blocked me for 24 hours. I drove all night from the east side of Seattle to the west, standing under her apartment until dawn. Only then did she slowly open the window and ask, "Will you dare do it again?" Then there was the company dinner. I exchanged a few sentences about work with a female colleague sitting next to me. The next day, Chloe stormed into my office and smashed my brand new mechanical keyboard to pieces in front of everyone. The crisp snap of the blue switches mixed with the whispers of my coworkers left me humiliated. I thought about ending it then, but the moment she cried, knelt, and said she just loved me too much, I went soft, again and again, until 3 days ago, when she broke up with me again because I failed to guess exactly which boba flavor she wanted. This time, I didn't ask her to stay. I just said, "Okay." The phone screen lit up again. It was her best friend, Jess. I declined to call. She called again. I declined again. The phone went quiet for a moment before my text started blowing up. "Mark, you're heartless. Chloe is already standing on the ledge. If anything happens to her, you're a murderer." Each message was more vicious than the last. I clicked on Jess's social media profile. Her latest post was from a few minutes ago. It was a photo of Chloe in a white dress, sitting on a ledge, legs dangling in the air. The background was the city skyline at night. The caption read, "Goodbye to this world that disappointed me." The comment section was already filled with hundreds of replies. "Chloe, don't do anything stupid. Is it because of that scumbag? He's not worth it. Where is this? We need to call the police." Jess replied to everyone with a standard message. "She won't let us call the cops. She just wants to see Mark one last time." I let out a cold laugh. They really committed to the bit. I zoomed in on the photo, then zoomed in again, pointing it out to Sarah. "Look, what's under the ledge?" Sarah leaned in, squinted, and then realized. "An AC unit? Right. And look at the angle. That's the second floor at most. There's a huge hedge of bushes right underneath." After explaining, I sent the zoomed-in screenshot back to Jess. Sarah looked at me, her eyes free of judgment, holding only a kind of understanding. "Sounds like you had a really rough time before." Just that one sentence made my eyes hot. Yeah, it was rough. I had been like a marionette, my emotions manipulated by her strings, my every move dictated by her moods. I was tired. I wasn't going back. The phone buzzed again. Jess's reply. "What do you mean? You care about that? You just want to force her to die." I didn't waste any more words on her. I replied directly. "I've called the police. Let them handle it." Also, regarding false reporting and inducing panic under state law. Deliberately spreading false information about an emergency or catastrophe that causes public disorder is a misdemeanor punishable by jail time and fines. Spreading fake suicide images to cause public panic carries legal liability. I copied and pasted the relevant statutes. The other side went instantly silent. Not another message came through. I turned my phone off completely and tossed it into the drawer in the bedroom. Finally, peace. I turned to Sarah. "Sorry, we missed the movie." Sarah smiled and leaned her head on my shoulder. "It's okay. We can watch it from the beginning." The living room light was warm, and the woman beside me was gentle. I thought the drama ended there. I was naive enough to think that maybe after this stunt, she'd understand that we were truly done. The next day, I went to work as usual. As soon as I stepped into the office, the atmosphere fell off. Everyone's eyes drifted toward me, carrying a mix of scrutiny, disdain, and a hint of excited gossip. The receptionist looked at me like I was trash. Colleagues I was usually cool with walked around me. My stomach tightened. I sat at my desk, and opened my computer. The internal messaging app was flashing like crazy. Hundreds of unread messages, almost all of them about me. Someone had dropped a link to a local viral thread in the main company chat. The title was in bold red, exposed. My best friend pushed to suicide by scumbag X. Mental abuse, and moving on in 3 days. My hands and feet went cold. I clicked the link. The main post was a tear-jerking essay written by Jess. From the perspective of the aggrieved best friend, she painted me as an unforgivable monster. She claimed I was controlling, forbidding Chloe from seeing any male friends. She said I was emotionally unstable, giving Chloe the silent treatment over trivial things. She said I was cheap and never bought Chloe decent gifts. She said I found a new lover immediately after the breakup, the ultimate humiliation after our years together. At the end of the essay, she claimed my indifference to her friend's life last night was the final straw. My best friend is now mentally shattered with severe depressive tendencies. If anything happens to her, Mark Reynolds, you are a murderer. Attached to the post were carefully selected screenshots. Arguments where only Chloe's hysterical questions were visible, alongside my cold replies of yeah, oh, and got it. Screenshots of me declining calls. And that photo of Chloe on the ledge. Most damaging of all was my personal information. My photo, full name, phone number, and even my company and job title were plastered there clearly. The comments had reached thousands. Wow, this guy is disgusting. Dox him. Why dox? His info is right there. Boys, let's flood his company. He looks normal. How can his heart be so dark? Run, girl, run. Gossiping narcissists deserve to die. Let's make him famous. Anger and nausea blocked my chest. I couldn't breathe. I had underestimated her lows. I thought yesterday's jump was just a tantrum. I didn't realize it was just the opening act. A premeditated social execution was her real goal. Mark, come to my office. My director, Dave Stevens, was standing behind me, looking grim. I followed him in, and he shut the door. I saw the stuff online, Dave sighed, handing me a cigarette, though he knew I didn't really smoke. I shook my head. Mark, I know you're not that kind of person. But, he shifted tone. The impact right now is bad. Corporate knows. It's a huge blow to the department and the company image. You get what I'm saying, right? Settle this privately ASAP. Get them to delete the post. Minimize the damage. I walked out of the director's office feeling the world spin. Settle privately? That meant bowing my head, admitting fault, and begging Chloe. My phone vibrated. A text from Sarah. I saw the post. Don't panic. Screenshot all evidence. Do not engage in a flame war online. This is defamation. We can sue. Reading Sarah's rational, firm words, my chaotic thoughts cleared a little. Just then, another message came in. Unknown number. It was Chloe. She was using a burner account. Mark, do you know you're wrong yet? Come back and beg me. Kneel and beg, and I'll consider helping you clarify things. I stared at those words, blood rushing to my head. Then I smiled. So that was it. Force everyone to turn on me, destroy my reputation, back me into a corner. Then, wait like a savior for me to crawl to her feet, wagging my tail for mercy. What a brilliant strategy. Burn it all down to rule the ashes. I didn't reply. I turned off notifications for all social apps and began to calmly screenshot everything, one by one, from the forum posts to every vicious comment, from Jess's essay to every threatening text she sent me, and that fatal text from Chloe's burner account. Come back and beg me. I realized this wasn't just a breakup dispute anymore. This was a war, an unwinnable war of public opinion she had launched against me, and I couldn't afford to lose. I didn't scream or curse online like they expected, nor did I issue a public apology. That would only drag me into the mud where they had the home field advantage. Instead, I went straight to Dave and requested annual leave. My reason, handling a personal defamation case to protect the company's and my own reputation. Dave looked at my calm demeanor, stunned for a second, then approved it. Leaving the office, my first stop was to see my college buddy, Jason Moore, now a partner at a law firm. In a coffee shop, I pushed a thick stack of printed papers toward him. Take a look. Is this enough for a case? Jason flipped through them, his expression shifting from relaxed to serious. He saw the threats from the burner account, the suicide, live stream on Jess's feed, and the malicious doxing on the forum. This isn't a simple civil dispute. Jason adjusted his glasses. Fabricating facts to publicly damage someone's reputation, given the severity and reach, violates defamation statutes. In some jurisdictions, this crosses into criminal harassment. What's your goal? He asked. I want a public apology, damages, and I want them to face legal consequences. I said every word clearly. We can file a civil suit immediately. But criminal charges are harder to stick without proof of intent to cause severe distress or knowing falsehoods at a higher level. If we had more direct evidence proving this was a coordinated hoax, our odds would skyrocket, Jason said. More direct evidence. I saw Jason off and sat in the cafe, my brain racing. If they were acting, there had to be a celebration. I thought of a guy named Chris, a mutual friend who wasn't part of Chloe's inner circle, but was a decent guy. I shot him a text. Hey man, how's it going? After some small talk, I asked casually, by the way, have you seen Chloe lately? I heard she's in a bad place. I'm kind of worried. Chris replied instantly. Bad place? She looked fine to me. I saw her at the mall yesterday afternoon with Jess and that crew. Drinking boba, chatting, laughing their heads off. My heart jumped. Really? You sure? How could I miss it? I almost went up to say hi, but they looked like they were deep in gossip. Chris seemed to sense something and paused before sending another text. She even dyed her hair pink. Pretty bright. I actually have a pic. I was going to post it to roast the fashion trend these days. Want to see? My fingers trembled slightly. Send it. A second later, a photo loaded. It was a candid shot. Chloe was sitting in a booth at the boba shop, holding her phone, grinning with a radiant, smug satisfaction. Her bright pink hair was like a flag of war. She was wearing new clothes, her makeup perfect. Where was the depression? Where was the girl pushed to the edge? This photo was a dagger, a blade that could instantly puncture all their lies. The last shred of nostalgia I held for her vanished the moment I saw that smug smile. All that remained was cold, hard resolve. I sent the photo of the lawyer's demand letter drafted by Jason directly to Chloe. No text, just the cold image of the document. Immediately after, I sent one to Jess. Then, I forwarded the candid photo Chris took to one of the fringe girls in Chloe's group chat, a girl who usually didn't chime in on the core scheming. I attached a single sentence. Don't get used as a pawn. You don't want to end up with a lawsuit for something you didn't start. After doing all this, I leaned back in my chair and exhaled a long breath. Chloe, you wanted a war? I'll give you a war. But not in the court of public opinion where you make the rules. We're fighting in reality, in the court of law. I didn't want internet points. I wanted them to pay a real price for everything they did. My phone buzzed. It was the fringe friend. Just one word. FCK. The photo of the legal notice hit their group chat like a depth charge. The first to crack was Jess, the one who had barked the loudest. She started blowing up my DMs. Mark, what does this mean? You actually dare to sue us? You're a grown man picking fights with girls? Do you have no shame? I ignored her. About half an hour later, her tone softened. Mark, we were just looking out for Chloe. She really loves you. Don't take it so seriously. If you sue us, what good does it do you? If this gets bigger, everyone looks bad. I finally replied. Are you willing to testify in court that Chloe orchestrated the release of this false information? She went silent. Not another word. I knew their alliance was already crumbling from the inside. That evening, a strange number called. I picked up. It was Chloe. Her voice was thick with nasal sounds and crying tones. Mark, I was wrong. I was really wrong. I just loved you too much. I was so scared of losing you. That's why I used such a stupid method. Can you forgive me? Let's not go to court, okay? We can settle this privately. I'll make them delete the posts. I'll apologize. I'll pay you. She wept like a flower trembling in the rain, as if she were the victim of a great injustice. In the past, my heart would have melted. Now, I only felt nausea. I listened to her performance coldly. When her sobbing subsided, I spoke slowly. Love me is love when I worked overtime and bought your favorite late-night takeout, only for you to look at it and throw in the trash because you said I was trying to make you fat and ugly so I could trap you. The crying on the other end hitched. Is love when I spent 2 months' salary on that designer bag for your birthday, and you immediately listed it on eBay with the tag still on, caption, gift from X, bad luck, selling cheap? Her breathing became rapid. Or do you mean every time we argued, regardless if it was right, you threatened to break up to force me to kneel and apologize, then took photos to send to your friends bragging about how well-trained I was? With every sentence, the breathing on the other end grew heavier. By the last one, she had gone completely silent, leaving only harsh panting. How did you know about that? Her voice trembled with disbelief and terror. I didn't answer. I opened an audio file on my phone and played it into the receiver. I had recorded it accidentally during our last fight. The phone was in my pocket and triggered the recorder. The recording played her shrill, cruel voice. Mark Reynolds, let me tell you, if you walk out that door today, we are completely done. Who do you think you are? You are nothing without me. Who else will want a loser like you besides me? Now, immediately, get on your knees and apologize, or we are really over. In the recording, my voice sounded exhausted. Chloe, please be reasonable. I am reason. In this house, what I say is reason. The recording ended. The living room was dead silent. I held the phone and said calmly, Chloe, you said it yourself. We're done. Now, I'm just executing your decision. Silence on the other end for a full 10 seconds. Then a complete breakdown, screaming and the sound of things being smashed. Mark, you bastard. You set me up. I hung up calmly amidst the chaotic noise. The mask had finally shattered. Looking out at the pitch-black night sky, I felt no thrill of revenge. Just a bone-deep exhaustion and sadness. I didn't give her any chance to breathe. The next morning, using a newly registered anonymous account, I compiled all the evidence into a receipts super pack. The package was comprehensive. Part 1. Screenshots of Jess's defamatory essay and her suicide livestream posts. Part 2. The full chat logs from my phone, clearly showing her unreasonable tantrums and that she was the one who initiated the breakup every time. Part 3. The screenshot of the threat from her burner account. Come back and beg me. Part 4. The fatal blow. Chris's candid photo of her laughing with her friends at the boba shop, celebrating her victory. Part 5. The grand finale. The 5-minute audio recording of her explicitly admitting to her manipulation tactics. I attached a brief, factual explanation and sent the package to a local legal news influencer. This account was famous for exposing the truth and reversing narratives, with a massive following that loved dramatic social justice. Predictably, they smelled blood. Less than an hour later, an article titled Plot Twist of the Year. Suicide Girl Exposed as Hoaxer. Manipulation Audio Leaked, Ex-Boyfriend Fights Back, appeared on everyone's feed in the city. The article was logical, the chain of evidence unbreakable. It presented my materials exactly as I had organized them. The audio recording, in particular, had been converted into a video format with subtitles. The impact was visceral. The post detonated instantly. Beneath the original forum thread attacking me, the winds shifted overnight. Holy SHD. Massive reversal. I knew a perfect victim seemed suspicious. Good Lord, this girl is the real master of manipulation. Give her an Oscar. Who else would want you? Kneel and apologize. Listening to that made my fists itch. That is textbook abuse. It's terrifying. Feel sorry for the OP. Getting stuck with something like that? Moving on in 3 days was too slow. I would have found someone new that same day. The netizens who had been calling for my head swiveled their cannons and stormed Chloe and Jess's social media accounts. The abuse and mockery were 10 times more violent than what I had endured. When I got to work early, I found the office atmosphere had shifted again. The looks from colleagues went from yesterday's disdain to sympathy, pity, and even a hint of awe. The receptionist brought me a coffee and whispered, Mark, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. I shook my head, indicating it was fine. At noon, Dave called me into his office again. This time, his face was piled high with smiles. Mark, you've had it tough. I told him you weren't that kind of person. The company supports you protecting your rights. Legal will assist you fully. I thanked him calmly. That afternoon, I received several surrender letters. They were from Chloe's other friends. Not only did they apologize, but to clear their names, they forwarded me the unedited chat logs where they planned the whole thing. In the chats, Chloe proudly directed them. Jess, you write the essay. Make it pathetic. Paint me as the ultimate victim. Annie, you go steer the conversation online. Register a few throwaway accounts to flame him. Once Mark is socially dead, he'll come back begging. Then I'll forgive him, and he'll be obedient forever. Looking at the evidence, I felt little emotion. This was just step 1 of getting justice. All of Chloe's social media accounts were forced to close under the massive pressure. She was thoroughly canceled. I thought she would stop there. But once again, I underestimated her madness. After her defeat in the court of public opinion, Chloe vanished for 3 whole days. I assumed she had left the city to start over somewhere else. Sarah and I finally got our lives back on track. We watched movies, went grocery shopping, and planned a weekend hiking trip. This mundane, peaceful happiness was something I hadn't dared to dream of for years. Thursday afternoon, I was in a meeting when a strange number called. I declined it. The person called again, relentlessly. I had to apologize to leadership and step out of the conference room to answer. On the other end was the sound of a middle-aged woman cry. Is this Mark? I paused. Who is this? I'm Chloe's mom. Mark, please, I'm begging you, save Chloe. My heart sank. What happened? She couldn't handle the insults online. Her depression relapsed. This morning, she slit her wrists. Her mother was sobbing uncontrollably. She's in emergency rescue at City General right now. The doctors say it's bad. Before she went unconscious, She kept saying your name. Mark, I know you two had issues, but I'm begging you. Can you come see her one last time? Just so she can go in peace, please. My brain exploded. I was completely stunned. Slit her wrists? Suicide? Even though I hated her, hated the manipulation and the frame job, I never wanted her dead. That was a human life. I hesitated instantly. If she really died because of me, I'd live in a shadow of guilt forever. I'm coming right now. I heard my own voice trembling. I hung up, walked back to the meeting room looking like a ghost, told Dave I had a family emergency, and left. I started my car, punched in the hospital on the GPS, and slammed the gas. As I pulled out of the garage, my phone rang. It was Sarah. Are you going to hospital? Her voice was unusually calm. How did you know? I guessed. Listen to me, don't get emotional. Calm down and think. Sarah's voice was like a bucket of ice water poured over my head. Do you remember the jump incident? My grip on the steering wheel tightened. If she really slit her wrists and is in critical condition, the hospital contacts the next of kin first. While the family is frantically dealing with paperwork and doctors, how would they have the time or the mood to immediately call you? The so-called enemy. Sarah's words struck my heart one by one. She woke me up, right? It didn't make sense. Although Chloe's mother was crying hard, she was articulate, even knowing to use "see her one last time" to emotionally blackmail me. That wasn't the reaction of a mother who had just found out her daughter was dying. A more terrible thought surfaced in my mind. I get it, I said into the phone. I pulled over to the side of the road and texted Chloe's mom, saying I was on my way and would be there in 30 minutes. After hanging up, I didn't drive. I opened WeChat and found a fringe friend who had tipped me off before. I transferred her $200 directly. Question: is Chloe actually hurt? She accepted the money instantly. A minute later, she sent a long voice note. I played it. Her voice lowered as if she were hiding. Mark, I'm telling you, do not go to that hospital. It's a trap. Chloe is fine. She made a tiny scratch with a razor. It's barely a surface wound. She's sitting in a regular ward on an 4 drip right now. Her mom called you to pull a suffering victim scam. They put a pinhole camera in the corner of the room. Her cousin is hiding in the next room. The second you walk in, they're going to provoke you, get you emotional. If you touch Chloe even once, the cousin rushes in, films it, and they countersue you for assault and harassment. Hearing that, cold sweat drenched my back. If I had rushed in there hot-headed, the consequences were unimaginable. Rage, fear, disgust. Emotions swirled together until I almost threw up. What a final trap. What a vicious play for sympathy. Looking at the busy street outside the window, I suddenly laughed. If you guys like acting so much, then I'll play along. Let's put on a big show. One you'll never forget. I didn't go to the hospital immediately. First, I called my lawyer, Jason, and told him everything. Jason was silent for a while before saying, "You really met a psychopath." Then, I called 2 friends who were police officers, Officer Miller and Officer Davis. I explained the situation and my plan. Guys, you off duty? Do me a favor. No need to act officially. Just come as friends visiting a patient with me. Oh, bring your body cams if you have them. Say it's habit, just in case. Miller and Davis were sharp. They understood immediately. No problem. Wait for us at the entrance. Finally, using the account I posted the evidence with, I started a live stream. I gave it a sensational title, Live, Visiting My Ex Who Slit Her Wrist for Me, True Remorse or Another Plot. The account already had heat, and with that title, viewers flooded in. I set up the phone, adjusted the angle, and explained briefly to the camera. Hey everyone, I'm on my way to the hospital to see my ex-girlfriend, Chloe. According to her mother, she committed suicide due to cyberbullying. But what is the truth? Let's go see together. 30 minutes later, I met up with Sarah, Miller, and Davis at the hospital entrance. I briefed Sarah on the plan. She nodded in support. The 4 of us walked into the inpatient building. I walked in front holding the phone, Sarah beside me, with Miller and Davis in plain clothes behind us. The live stream chat was going crazy. Opie is brave. Confronting them head on. Why do I feel like this isn't simple? Is the girl acting again? We arrived at Chloe's room. The door was ajar. Inside, I could hear her mother's suppressed weeping. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open. Inside, Chloe was in a hospital gown, lying in bed, her wrist wrapped in thick gauze. Her face was pale as a sheet, lips completely bloodless, clearly a carefully applied critical condition, makeup look. Her mother sat nearby, wiping tears with a towel. When Chloe saw me enter, a flicker of smug malice passed through her eyes, barely noticeable. But when she saw Sarah behind me, and the distinct, authoritative aura of Miller and Davis, she froze. Her mother froze too. I didn't rush to the bedside weeping and repenting as they had scripted. I just stood at the door, keeping the phone camera steady on Chloe in the bed. The viewer count on the live stream had broken 100,000. Chloe, I heard you slit your wrist for me. I spoke, voice not loud, but clearly carrying through the room. Where's the wound? Is it deep? Can we unwrap the gauze so the thousands of netizens concerned about you can take a look? Chloe and her mother's expressions changed instantly. Mark, what is the meaning of this? Her mother stood up, shocked and angry. I ignored her, continuing to address Chloe. Oh, right? Is your cousin waiting in the room next door? Is there a pinhole camera hidden under that potted plant in the corner? Do you want me to find it and do an unboxing video for everyone? I walked slowly toward the pothose plant in the corner as I spoke, acting as if I were going to move it. In that instant, Chloe reacted like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. She bolted upright from the bed. A miraculous recovery. Mark, don't come over here, she shrieked, completely forgetting she was playing a dying patient. Her voice was full of power, not a hint of weakness in it. The live stream chat exploded. Ha ha, I am dying. It's a medical miracle. Dying patient sits up in shock. Ask where the guest is from. That acting skill. Hollywood is missing out. Chloe's mother panicked and rushed forward to grab my phone. Stop filming. You aren't allowed to film. Miller and Davis stepped forward smoothly, blocking her like two mountains. Miller flashed his badge. Police. Ma'am, please calm down. Seeing the badge, her mother's legs went weak. I walked to the bedside and looked down at the dumbfounded Chloe. Done acting? If you're done, my lawyer's letter will be delivered to your house tomorrow. Also, these two are my friends from the precinct. Regarding your illegal installation of surveillance equipment here and your conspiracy to frame me, I think they'll be very interested. Guess what? Is setting a trap to frame someone enough for administrative detention. Chloe's face went white, then green, then a dead gray. Her mouth hung open, but not a word came out. The screen was flooded with gifs and comments. I turned to the camera and gave my first smile in days. All right, everyone. That's the stream for today. The truth will never be buried. I ended the stream. The farce was over. The fallout from the live stream was bigger than I imagined. The clip of her miraculous recovery became a meme and a viral video, spreading everywhere. Chloe's family became the biggest joke in the city. The next day, I officially authorized Jason to file a private criminal prosecution against Chloe, Jess, and the key participants for defamation. Simultaneously, Miller and Davis opened an official investigation into the camera installation and the attempted frame-up at the hospital. Chloe's cousin and mother lasted less than 2 hours at the station before spilling the entire plan. The Vance family collapsed. Chloe's father, a quiet man I'd only met a few times, came to my office carrying fruit and cash, bowing and scraping, hoping I would raise my hand high but put it down gently and settle out of court. Mark, Uncle is begging you. She's still young. She doesn't know better. Let her off this time. We'll pay whatever you want. Just drop the suit. Looking at his graying hair and humble posture, I felt nothing. I told him, Uncle, I don't want money. I want justice. She's an adult. She needs to be responsible for her actions. I refused all pleas and settlement offers. Jason told me that with the live stream evidence being so undeniable and the social impact so severe, the case was a slam dunk. A month later, court was in session. Sarah and I sat at the plaintiff's table. Chloe, Jess, and the others stood in the defendant's box, looking like death. Ultimately, the court found Chloe and Jess guilty of defamation. While the severity didn't warrant prison time, since no one had died or suffered heavy physical injury, they were sentenced to probation, forced to issue public apologies, and ordered to pay me $5,000 in emotional damages. But the criminal record would follow them for life. When the verdict was read, Chloe broke down wailing in court. Her employer, a somewhat famous local influencer agency, issued a statement immediately terminating her contract. Jess and the other friends were also called in by their HR departments or penalized, and they were socially isolated by their mutual friends. After the lawsuit, I took the $5,000 compensation, gave half to Jason, and donated the other half anonymously to an anti-cyberbullying foundation. Walking out of the courthouse, the sun was shining. Sarah held my hand and said, "It's all over." I nodded, looking at the blue sky, feeling like a heavy stone had finally been lifted from my chest. This wasn't revenge. It was just reclaiming my innocence and dignity. Some people are never worth forgiving. After the storm, my life returned to complete calm. At the company, I actually benefited from the disaster. Upper management noticed the calm, rationality, and legal savvy I displayed during the incident, deeming me high potential talent. Dave called me in to say my name was on the promotion list for the next quarter. My relationship with Sarah grew even better. Between us, There was no suspicion, no testing, none of that exhausting emotional tug-of-war. We were partners fighting side by side, and each other's warm harbor. She never got angry if I didn't text back instantly, nor did she throw tantrums when I was busy. She shared funny work stories and gave me quiet hugs when I was tired. Being with her, I realized for the first time that loving someone could be this easy and pleasant. Occasionally, I still received texts from strange numbers. I knew it was Chloe. I had blocked her number in socials, but she kept getting new SIM cards. The content was no longer threats or curses. Instead, it was long paragraphs of memories and repentance. Mark, do you remember? The rainy day we met, you gave me your umbrella. Mark, I really know I was wrong. I can't sleep at night. I see your face when I close my eyes. I really can't live without you. Can we start over? I swear, I'll change everything as long as you come back. Reading these, I felt nothing, maybe just a bit of amusement. A person used to extracting love through extreme means wouldn't change their inherent selfishness just because they lowered their posture. Her repentance wasn't because she realized her mistakes. It was because she lost control over me, and that terrified her. One time, Sarah and I were watching a movie at home when another text came. I handed the phone directly to Sarah. She glanced at it, her pretty brows furrowing slightly. Then, saying nothing, she expertly took my phone, found the number, blocked it, and deleted the thread. Done with that, she tossed the phone aside, leaned over, and kissed me on the lips. Don't let trash ruin your movie mood. I smiled. The last bit of haze regarding the past in the corner of my heart finally dissipated. Yeah, it was all in the past. I began to understand that real love is mutual respect and growing together, not unilateral control and endless draining. The past with Chloe was like a long, suffocating nightmare. But now the sun was up. Sarah and I started planning a long vacation to Lake Tahoe. To leave the city's gloom behind completely and see the mountains and the water. The day before we left, I came home early to surprise Sarah, who was packing. However, the person I least wanted to see gave me a fright instead. At my doorstep stood Chloe. In just over a month, she looked like a different person. The flashy pink hair was dyed back to black, tied back loosely, looking dry and dull. She had lost a lot of weight, her eyes sunken, wearing an ill-fitting old coat. She looked haggard and defeated, stripped of all her former shine. Seeing me, her dull eyes lit up instantly, like a drowning person grabbing a lifeline. She lunged, trying to hug me. I sidestepped instinctively. She stumbled, hugging empty air. Then, she did something I didn't expect. She dropped straight to her knees, facing me. Mark, give me one more chance, please. Tears flooded her face as she wrapped her arms around my calves, crying and begging. I'll change everything. I'll never throw a tantrum again. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. Neighbors were passing by, pointing and whispering. I didn't want to star in a soap opera in the hallway. I tried to pull my leg away. Chloe, get up. We are done. My coldness seemed to trigger her. She jerked her head up, her eyes reigniting with that familiar, terrifying madness. If you don't forgive me, I'll die right in front of you. She screamed, suddenly letting go of me and pulling a bright utility knife from her bag. She pushed the blade out. It glinted in the hallway light. A neighbor gasped audibly. I stepped back almost instinctively. She thought I would panic like in her script, rush forward to snatch the knife so she could collapse into my arms and continue her performance. But I didn't. I just took a step back and then calmly took out my phone. Right in front of her, I prepared to dial 911. My calmness completely stunned her. She held the knife, staring at me, her expression frozen, caught between advance and retreat. Looking at her ridiculous posture, I spoke, my voice not loud but piercing. Chloe, put away the act. I'm bored of it. You never loved me. You loved yourself. You enjoyed the feeling of controlling someone else's life. You liked the toy that obeyed you completely, the one you could do whatever you wanted with. You're not unwilling to let go because you lost me. You're unwilling because you lost your toy. But I'm not a toy. I am a person. I have my own mind and my own life. I took a step forward, looking straight into her crazy eyes, and delivered the final sentence. Even if you actually died here today, I would only feel disgust. Between us, it's been over for a long time. I didn't look at her again. I turned, unlocked my door, walked inside, and slammed it shut heavily. I heard her tear-filled, utterly despairing wail from the hallway. But I didn't look back. Not once. Some people only understand that the story has truly turned a page when you use the most absolute method possible. Inside, Sarah had already packed 2 large suitcases. Seeing my expression, she didn't ask what happened downstairs. She just walked over and gave me a long, warm hug. It's over, she said. The next day, We boarded the plane to Lake Tahoe on time. As the plane punched through the clouds and brilliant sunlight hit my face through the window, I felt reborn. The oppressive past, along with the gloom of the city, was left far behind. In the small town by the lake, we walked hand in hand, wandering aimlessly, listening to folk music drifting from roadside bars. At the foot of the mountains, we leaned against each other, watching the snow that never melted at the peaks, feeling the shape of the wind. We rented a car and drove around the lake, watching the water merge with the sky. For the first time, I felt how relaxing and happy a relationship could be. We didn't have to guess each other's thoughts or walk on eggshells afraid of saying the wrong thing. Sarah would tease me for my straight guy aesthetic when I took bad photos of her, but then she'd laugh, link her arm in mine, and teach me how to frame a shot. I would pinch her nose when she didn't want to get out of bed, and she'd chase me with a pillow. Our interactions were natural, comfortable, and smelled like sunshine. One night on the trip, staying in a cabin where we could see the stars, I told her some details about my past with Chloe that I hadn't told anyone. Not to gain sympathy or to complain. Just a total unburdening and goodbye. Sarah listened in silence for a long time. She didn't say, "You poor thing," or "She's terrible." She just looked at me earnestly and said, "I'm glad you escaped." My eyes got hot and I nodded. "Yeah, glad you escaped. And glad I met her." On the last day of the trip, I posted a photo to my social media. It was taken by the lake. In the photo, I was hugging Sarah from behind. She was smiling brilliantly against a background of blue water and sky. I captioned it, "New life and the right person." Below it, Jason, Miller, Davis, and my colleagues left a long string of likes. After returning from the trip, time flew. My life with Sarah was peaceful and beautiful. I got the promotion and a significant raise. We used that money, plus our savings, to put a down payment on a small condo in the city. It wasn't huge, but it was cozy, with a balcony that got plenty of sun. Sarah filled it with all kinds of plants. We started planning the future together, discussing when to get married, whether to get a cat or a dog. As for Chloe, I never heard news of her again. It was like she evaporated, completely vanishing from my world. Until more than half a year later, when I ran into Chris, the mutual friend who had tipped me off, at a coffee shop downstairs from my office. We sat and chatted for a while. Eventually, he brought up Chloe. "Hey, did you know? Chloe left the city a long time ago." My hand holding the coffee cup paused, then resumed naturally. "Is that so? Where to?" "Heard she went back to her hometown for a bit, then moved to a mid-sized city down south." Chris smirked. "You know what they say, a leopard can't change its spots." He told me he heard from a friend in her hometown that Chloe had a new boyfriend in the new city. At first, they were inseparable, as she posted about their love every day. But recently, she started posting things like "the whole world has wronged me," and "men are all trash again." Rumor had it was because her boyfriend refused to tattoo her name on his hand. Some people are just black holes. You can never fill them. They just drag everyone around them in. Chris sighed. I just smiled and offered no comment. How her life turned out was her own lesson to learn. It had nothing to do with me anymore. I walked out of the coffee shop and saw Sarah standing in the sunlight across the street waiting for me. She was wearing a pale yellow dress. Seeing me come out, she smiled and waved. I walked over quickly and held her hand tight. The sun was perfect, the breeze gentle. Fingers interlocked, we walked toward our shared home. The people and things of the past were like scenery in a rearview mirror, getting smaller and further away. Eventually, they would vanish from sight completely, leaving no trace. My life was already on a brand new journey. Story complete.